Well, hey there, guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're installing some permanent holiday lights. Well, every year for the holidays, mostly for Christmas, I put up lights around the eaves of my house. You know, your regular Christmas nut lights, those C9 bulbs or the C9 LEDs, whatever you want to call them. And I usually put them up right after Halloween, but then I don't turn them on until late December. I just do that to take advantage of the warmer weather. So I'm not out there in the colder weather putting lights up. But every year, without fail, the squirrels. The squirrels eat my wiring and absolutely destroy my Christmas lights every single year without fail. And they destroy them to the point that I can't patch them. I can't solder them back together. And I always have to buy new lights, and it drives me absolutely insane. So this year, I'm going to install some permanent holiday lights on the house. And I say holiday lights because they're good for whatever occasion. They can be changed however you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to install these on the house. I'm going to do a few extra measures to keep the squirrels away from the wiring. And we're going to see how this goes. So let's head over to the bench and see what it is that I've got to install on my house. Well, this is the set that I've got for the front of my house. And this particular set is a 50-foot length of the LED lights. This one is remote controlled as well as app controlled, and you can really customize it for whatever you want. So inside the box, it comes with this little hokey cardboard or a cardstock ruler. This is supposedly to make the installation of your lights a little easier. I'm going to do something a little different for mine. It comes with a bunch of clips and screws. These are adhesive pads here that you also screw into the underside of your soffit, and this goes over your cables to help take some of the weight of the lights. We've also got a bag here of, well, adhesion prep pads. I am assuming that this is nothing more than an alcohol pad to clean the surface for the 3M adhesive pads that are used to install the lights. So it comes with plenty of those. It comes with a couple of extension cords. Now, these extension cords are for if you have different eaves. If you have one section of eaves and then you have to drop down to another one, it comes with these extension cords for you to be able to extend the distance between your strings, because your 50 feet of lights is not all in one string. You have a user manual and an installation manual. You also have a few extra adhesive pads for your lights in case you should mess one up while installing it. You have your remote control. Guys, as with a lot of things, battery's not included, but it takes two AAAs. Not a big deal, but this is your remote control for your unit. It comes with your AC power adapter, which is normally a lot neater package than this, but I've been doing some testing with the lights. So your power adapter. It also comes with a control unit. Now, guys, this is the receiver for your remote control. This is also kind of a manual keypad to punch in what you want to turn them on or off, change your different modes, etc. This is supposedly waterproof, although I'm not a big fan of these open holes there. I believe that's a microphone, but I'm not 100% certain of that function at the moment. It has a short cord on one end because this end goes to your power source. The other end of this actually is 13 feet long to get to your first light string. So you have plenty of options for how to mount your lights for the distance from your control pad. So let me get all of this out of the way, and I will show you the meat and potatoes of what is included in this kit, and that would be our LEDs. Now, guys, these are like a flat wire LED. They have these 1 inch by 1 inch LED sections that have a 3M adhesive pad on the back of each one. And that is how they mount to the underside of your eaves. We're going to get more into that a little later. But this is actually three strips of light. Each one is 5 meters long, and they are joined together. Let me just find one here by a weatherproof and waterproof connection. So we'll just unscrew this and show you how these connect. There we go. And then that just pulls out just like that. So it's a low voltage connection, and it is waterproof. And you can, instead of having it all your lights in one long string, you can put your extension cords in between these sections to extend them as you wish. But what I've done for my installation is I've taken some careful measurements, and I want these centered on my house and then equal amounts of lights on either side. So what I have done, I'll see if I can find one here. Here it is right here. I have placed 2 of these black marks. This is on the underside of the wiring, so you won't see it. It'll be up against the soffit. But these marks represent the corners of my house, and they are 24 feet apart. That way, I'm not messing around when I get up there on the ladder to install these as far as trying to center them. I know where this has to align, and this mark and its mating mark 24 feet away has to align with the corner of my house. So with that being said, how am I going to get these all uniformly where I want them? Because the installation has to be a minimum of 2 inches away from your wall, or a maximum of 4 inches away from your wall. So I need to go 4 inches on the front and 2 inches on the sides of my house. So let me show you what it is that I'm going to use instead of their included ruler. Well, this is the most simple and barbaric way that you could possibly mount these lights as far as for measuring. Guys, you don't need to get technical. Sometimes the simplest method is the best. And I've just taken some junky pieces of scrap ply. This is, again, another piece from an old burn board, and I have cut it to my 4-inch wide width here and 2 inches here. And when aligning my lights, all I need to do now is place this 4-inch board up against the edge of my house. And I know that as long as I get my light against the outer edge here, I am 4 inches away from my house. Same with this, except with 2 inches. And I have enough surface here that it's not going to be able to teeter, and the lights are not going to be out of square because the actual framework of the lights is square. So all that's left to do now, I have my markings on my wire to show me where to mount it on my house. I have my little silly cut jigs here to be able to get the proper distance away from the house. All that's left to do is to head out there with a ladder and some of those cleaning pads and start installing these lights. Well, after making blocks for both 4-inch and 2-inch spacings on the lights from the edge of the house, I decided not to bother with the 4-inch. I did some research on it. I looked online, and as it turns out, the further away you get from the house, the wider the span of the lights are, and they look more like spotlights that light up the ground. So the closer that you get to the house, it gives more of an appearance of individual lights, and that's what I was after. So I scrapped the 4-inch spacer and went with the 2-inch. Now, guys, the installation of these lights is extremely simple, but you want to make sure that you're prepared. So in my case, as you already know, I had that one mark using magic marker to mark out where I wanted my edge of the house and where I wanted my lights to start. And that was my starting point. From there, it's just a matter of getting the first light installed. And the biggest point to take here, and the most important thing you have to realize, is use those alcohol pads to your advantage. You really need to clean the area where that 3M adhesive is going to be placed, because if you don't clean it, any amount of dirt or debris or anything that's in that area is going to prevent the 3M adhesive from sticking and your lights will fail. Another thing you want to keep in mind as well as the cleaning is temperature. Guys, don't buy these in November in Canada and try to install them in early December to use for Christmas. That 3M adhesive has to be warm. You cannot use it cold. It will not stick. It will fail every time. So those are some of the key factors that you need to keep in mind. So my wife came out, helped me along with the installation, and we got all of the lights installed around the house. Well, at this point, the squirrel proofing starts, and it all starts off at the top where the last wire comes down, or the last piece of cable from the LED. This is what is going to connect to our control unit. And there's quite a bit of excess cable there. So this is where the squirrel proofing is. That excess cable is curled up inside of this electrical box. And then from there, I've run some 3/4 inch EMT conduit across the wall and then down through an opening in my carport. Now, guys, from there, the wire goes directly into the bottom of the pipe, and that connects directly to the control unit. And on the opposite side of the control unit, that goes through a hole that goes into the joists of my carport. I'm thinking I'm going to put an acrylic cover over this. I'm not really pleased with the way it is right now as far as the protection. I'm a little paranoid because those little squirrels will do everything in their power to get at the wires. So I think I'm going to make an acrylic cover to go over this. But as it goes through the joists and onto the other side, I've installed a 120-volt receptacle, and that powers up the power supply and the rest of the power cables from up top. So what's going to protect those cables that are up there? That will be this plywood enclosure. Now, guys, this is just a faux cover. It has a notch here for the Romex wiring that I've run through the joists. I'm going to give this a good sanding and paint it, and then this will get mounted up in between the joists to cover up all of that wiring. I'm not going to mount it tight to the ceiling. I'm going to leave about 1/4 inch gap just to get circulation, air circulation rather, in there. And this will keep the squirrels out of that wiring. It's not permanent. It is very accessible at all times. And although I know that this is not exactly up to electrical code, it's also not an electrical enclosure. I'm just trying to keep the squirrels from eating my darned wires. So we're going to get this painted up and mounted. But in the meantime, how do these lights work? Well, for that, we're going to wait for some nighttime, and let's take the camera outside and have a look how these things look on the house. Well, I have never seen lights that are this versatile, we'll say. Each individual LED all the way around the strips is addressable. Each one can be changed to whatever color you want. Each one can be changed to its own animation. It's like they have their own programming address, even though there's only 3 conductors in the cable. Now, these things are controlled either through an app on your phone, through the control unit that is just outside of the carport, or by a remote. So you have several options there for turning them on and off and changing their functions. Now, you get the most versatility out of the app, and that's where you can change the individual colors. You can add animations to the lights. You can set it to music if that's your thing. It's not my thing, but if it's yours, you can do it. They have already programmed in the app many. I didn't count them. There's got to be at least 100 or more animated styles that you can use, from Halloween styles to Christmas styles, St. Patrick's Day, Independence Day, Canada Day, birthdays, parties, you name it, it is in there. And there is a full selection of pre-programmed arrays that you can choose. If that doesn't suit you, you can very easily program your own with your own colors and your own animations. It's that easy. It's that simple. It's a matter of touching a color and then touching the light that you want, and each one will turn on as you touch it with the color. It's really crazy, but it works. And I don't know, guys, these things are pretty cool. And there you have it. Permanently mounted holiday lights. Guys, I have got my fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed that I have done everything here in my power to keep the squirrels out of the wiring. But even aside from the squirrels, what do I think of these lights? Guys, these things are awesome. I really like these. I've been having them come on each night just as ambient light, just over the bricks, just to give a little bit of soffit lighting to the front end of the house. But for holidays, I mean, it is unlimited. You can customize these lights individually. Every single light, you can change the color to whatever you want. In the widest spectrum of colors you can imagine, you can just shift it all around, do whatever you want with it. You can animate the lights. You can put them to music if you're so inclined. I'm not, but if you're that inclined, you could do that. Say if you were having a party. Canada Day. How about the colors of the Canadian flag across the front of the house for Canada Day if you're in the States? How about for Independence Day? What about the red, white, and blue across the front? It doesn't matter. There are so many different things. I'm looking forward to Halloween. How about some red and orange and purple glowing down onto the yard? That could be pretty cool. One of the best parts, guys, is hopefully, with everything crossed, squirrels aren't going to eat my wires anymore, and I'm never going to have to put Christmas lights or holiday lights up on my house ever again. No more going up after Halloween to put up the lights, to have them ready for Christmas so I can take advantage of the warmer weather. No more going out there in the cold after New Year's to take them down and coil them all up only to find out the squirrels destroy them. No more of that. No more of that. Now it's ready to go, and all I gotta do is go on my phone on an app and go flick, 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 and turn on whatever I want. I can set the program. I can save that if that's the setting that I want. I can put it on a timer so it comes on every single night. Guys, this thing for me is awesome. Whether or not it's for you, that's up to you to decide. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'd like to point out that I'm not promoting these lights. This was more of, I was installing them and I wanted to take you along for the ride, and hopefully, you know, maybe it'll interest some of you guys. I don't know. I don't get anything for you guys clicking on a link or purchasing these. Absolutely nothing. I'm not affiliated with this company. There are a million different light sets out there. You need to choose the one that's right for you. If you haven't already, guys, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We have an amazing audience base, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of that. I want to thank you a million times for tuning in this week, guys. This one's been fun. I'm really looking forward to using these lights. I hope you've enjoyed the content. I hope you were able to take something positive away from the show. And more importantly, guys, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.